let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for July 13th, 2022. Qs basically unchanged here. SPY down about 0.5%. All right, we got the numbers this morning. Inflation still an issue. That was the catalyst for the gap down that we got. Gapping down about 1.7% on the Qs. Impressively, we rallied back up. I did not expect that was the reaction we would get. I guess, there was a little bit of noviceness to that gap down coming from three red bars here on the hourly, the last one being the biggest, and then gapping down. Okay. But more importantly, what does that mean for tomorrow? What does that mean for the rest of the week? The focus for me is still going to be on the bearish bias. Okay, we've rallied up and we now have an hourly sell set up here. Okay, so that is the pattern here that I am watching now, this hourly sell setup. If we break back above today's high tomorrow and we stay above it, then we will no longer be bearish. Okay, and we will start to look for a transition on the hourly for a potential bullish bias. But as long as we stay below today's high, gonna remain bearish, okay? Tomorrow we do get the official start of earnings season. JPM is the first Dow component to report. So we will get that tomorrow morning, okay? And usually it's the banks that start things off. So we'll see, banks through the end of the week, even through the beginning of next week. Financials being the main focus here during this part of earnings season. Okay, eventually we'll see some of the tech names roll through, and then usually kind of retail towards the end. All right, that's just generally speaking what kind of names we see. Okay, so that starts things off. All right, so we'll start to see things pick up over the next couple weeks. We'll probably hit the peak in like 3 or 4 weeks. So we have all of that to look forward to. All right. All right, and let's go over the plays from today. So QRTEA this morning, I just came across this while scanning. Found a nice little base in there as I was doing a breakdown. So that was okay. That was kind of the first thing to get going here. The QRTEA was very patient this morning. I remember saying, throughout the first 30 minutes, haven't done anything yet, still waiting for a play. And it's not that uncommon because when the market is gapping down more than 1.5%, I do typically like to take the open a little bit more slowly because a lot of things are going to follow the market at the open, regardless of if they are bullish, bearish, based on the gap. So an example of that would be the FAST, which is a gap I liked quite a bit this morning. But you can see even that got bought initially, eventually rolled its way back down and stayed weak. And you can see why I like the gap. This actually we can watch for tomorrow. Relatively narrow range for this fast. So it was a good gap. Well, you can probably watch this for tomorrow. Okay, so I like that a lot, but you can see at the open actually kind of was sloppy and then actually recovered and made a new high, and Qs were moving up. So that's pretty typical. A lot of things, even if they have good gaps, will be dictated by the market on a kind of higher volatility day. Okay, then played a sell setup on the fresh. All right, sell setup on the fresh here. You can see the 5 minute. I like that the 5 minutes started to base right in here. This is basically how I played it, using all of this here and then incorporating that little shakeout as well. And then a 15 minute I thought was really pretty, just a 15-minute sell setup. I'd say the one biggest flaw with this was the fact that we already had a big move yesterday. We had the gap down, we have the sell-off. So that was probably the biggest flaw. I don't typically like to play things on the day after the gap. And as I mentioned in the room, this was as much a play on the fresh as it was a play on the market. Because at the time, here's what the market looked like. Market was pulling back. I wanted something short here just in case, we pull back pretty deep. Okay. So looked like we were starting a bigger pullback perhaps. So I wanted something that had stayed weak to play along with that. Now, the market ended up going back up, so that I think also handicapped the Fresh. Fresh, we ended up losing half an R. I did lower the stop to 12.58. Originally, the stop was up there. Lowered it, cut it in half, and so we did lose on this Fresh. All right. I ended up moving up instead. It was up half an R at one point, but that wasn't enough. I was looking for new lows. So didn't get to target, so didn't work. All right, and then YSG was kind of the focus here for the afternoon. Was not able to get this drop here. I know some people did. Getting filled on this was a little bit hard. I did play the bounce, so that was okay. And then it did grind lower here, but it was pretty flippy. But that was a really nice call from James there on the YSG. Really nice breakdown. Beautiful. I know it was hard to get filled, but hey, it's, not a lot of these, out there. And I would say the same thing I said yesterday about having pockets throughout the day where there's not as much. It's open sometimes, there's stuff. Usually there's stuff. Then sometimes in kind of the mid-morning there isn't, and then into lunch maybe, and then, afternoon, more often than not, there's not a lot to do. So to find something like this in the afternoon, is really kind of outdoing yourself. So that was a really, really nice find there on the YSG. Nice call out if you were able to catch it. Okay. All right. So that was kind of it. Earnings season is going to pick up here. Like I said, it'll take a couple weeks for things to warm up, and then we'll probably be peaking here in 3 to 4 weeks. So we have that to look forward to. All right. So, make sure just kind of the process everything is kind of smoothed over and ready to go. That way, if things get busy, we minimize some of the operational mistakes and user error kind of things as things get picked up. Really, a lot of times, outside of earnings season, really just trying to stay somewhat sharp and ready, so that way when earnings season kicks off, there's less of a kind of a warm up to it, and you're just ready to go. Because sometimes if you're not ready to go at earnings season, by the time you feel like, okay, I'm in sync and I'm warmed up, earnings season is starting to wind down. So a lot of times what we're doing in the off season is really just to stay ready. All right, so hopefully you are ready and excited. We should be getting a lot more gaps here in just a couple weeks. All right. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then. Have a good evening.